Welcome back to The Bright Side. Macy here, the Bright Side Girl, and today we are doing my October audiobook wrap-up. So, in case you missed it, my October reading wrap-up was up yesterday. I will link that up here in the little card, so you can click that little eye if you want to check that out first. But for now, we're going to talk about all the books that I listened to for October. So, I did all spooky, creepy, atmospheric reads for the most part for October, just like I did for my reading wrap-up. And I enjoyed a lot of them quite a bit. I listened to 11 in total, so we're gonna just get into this and get it rolling. First up, I finally finished Our Dark Duet by Victoria Schwab. This is narrated by Therese Plummer. As far as an audiobook goes, I did really like Therese's narration. I thought she did a really good job, so that part was very good. I wound up liking it more than I expected as far as after reading The Savage Song, but less than I expected before I started the entire duology, if that makes sense. The ending was good, and I appreciated it, and I liked it, and I think I like these enough to hold on to them, but I don't know what it is about this duology that just doesn't make me like completely love it. Like, I think it was a little bit darker than I expected in a different way. I don't know. If you're not familiar with this duology, this is about basically like a kind of post-apocalyptic situation where we have all of a sudden all of these monsters have come out of nowhere and they've been created from acts of violence. So there's like this magical element where basically if someone like commits a murder, then a monster is born. And not necessarily like right there on the spot, but like somewhere in the world. And so there are all these monsters and there are all these rules in place. Government section that is working to control the situation and to figure out what's happening. And some of the monsters are actually working with us, and then other ones are just like really scary and evil, and there's like vampire-y monsters, and there's monsters that steal your soul with song, and like all kinds of stuff. And so this is the second book in the duology, so I can't say a lot about it, but you're following Kate Harker in the first book, who her dad runs the like government section that's like trying to protect everybody, and she's kind of like a rebel, and she's kind of intense. And then you're also following August Flynn, who is a monster boy, and not very many people know it, and he is trying to kind of maneuver in this world where everyone hates monsters. So I don't know, that was a terrible description, but I think I wound up giving this one 3.5 stars. I did like it enough to keep it for now. Like, I keep the books that I really like on my shelf. I might change my mind in the future depending on how I like the rest of Victoria's books. Yeah, it was enjoyable. It's a good dark fall read, so I'm glad I've got it off my list. Then I listened to A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro, narrated by Graham Halstead and one other lady who will be right here. And I'm so glad that I did. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this one. This is again, reimagining of Sherlock Holmes, but it's about his lineage. It's about Charlotte Holmes, who is somehow related to Sherlock Holmes from the past because it's set in modern times. And Jamie Watson, who is related to the other Watson. I can't remember. Anyway, it's about their descendants, except that Charlotte is a girl, obviously, and she has like kind of all the traits of Sherlock, where she's like not very emotional and very good at detecting things and very good at paying attention and dissecting information and holding on to information and figuring things out. Like, she helped Scotland Yard solve the murder mystery when she was like 6 or something like that. Really, really fun. They wind up going to school together, and they wind up meeting, trying to solve some crimes that are kind of interlaced with their family as well. And you're getting also like the lineage of like Mycroft's family, and it was really great. I haven't read any of the Sherlock books, but I love the Sherlock TV show with Benedict Cumberbatch. It's one of my all-time favorite TV shows ever. It made me like totally love him, and so I really, really enjoyed this. I thought it was super fun. I thought the narrator did a really good job. A really cozy, fun fall read, and it wasn't super dark. It was just like entertaining, and I super, super enjoyed it. And I can't wait to read the rest. 4 stars. Then I listened to Monstrous by Marcy Kate Connolly, narrated by Brittany Presley. And this is just a cute little middle grade story. It's kind of a retelling of Frankenstein in a way, or it has like Frankenstein elements, about a monster girl who just looks kind of like a normal girl, but she can change her eyes, and she has a tail, and she can put people to sleep and things like that. And her father, and they live in like this castle. She has been told that she was basically put together to help other little girls. There's an evil wizard in their town that is coming and taking girls, and they never return, and so her job is to kind of find these girls and bring them back and save them, or so she thinks. And it's just really, really cute. It was a little bit longer than it needed to be. I think this is almost a 500-page middle grade book, which was a little bit unnecessary, but I really enjoyed it. There were some magical elements in here. The narrator did a pretty good job. It was a little bit more of a middle grade vibe than what I'm used to for listening to middle grade books, But I really enjoyed it. It was a fun like fall read. There's like magic and wizards and a castle. I just like the vibe of the book in general, and I just like anything to do that's kind of Frankenstein-y. So I really enjoyed it, but I wound up giving it 3.5 stars. Then I listened to Spare and Found Parts by Sarah Maria Griffin, narrated by Alana Kerr Collins. I'm probably saying that wrong, but it'll be right here in the description. I've been wanting to read this one for a while as well. This was also a Frankenstein inspired book. I was hoping to do a Frankenstein video for you guys. Didn't get to it in time, but I will definitely be doing it next year with like a bunch of Frankenstein retellings. So this is about a girl that has like some like robot parts put together in her. It's kind of sci-fi, kind of Cinder-esque, and her dad is kind of like a mad scientist Frankenstein type person, and he has a lot of inventions. They live like in the future where the robot takeover kind of happened, and so they've kind of gotten rid of anything to do with like robots or technology even, as even like we don't even have internet and things like that. And so she has always been like an inventor and has decided that she wants to invent a robot boy to like love her, I guess. And I don't really know how else to explain it. I think the whole thing starts with her finding like a hand like on a beach, like a robot hand or something, but she tries to go and like invent this boy that will like come to life. And so that's kind of the essence of the story, but you're also learning about the world and how like technology's gone, and there's like these underground groups and things like that. So it was good. I did really enjoy it. I didn't like it quite as much as I expected. I did really like the ending. It was different than what I was planning, and I liked the little love story that was happening as well. I just thought it was kind of fun. It was just kind of an oddly written story, so I'm not really sure. I think I'm settling at 3.5 stars. Like the narrator did a pretty good job, and it was fun. It just wasn't something that I like completely loved or maybe will have an easy time remembering, but I probably will reread it like sometime in the future because I do like this style of book, and it was kind of nice to read like a sci-fi book. It was nice to get a break from the super dark reads that I was reading as well, so for that part it was good, but 3.5 stars. Okay, so then I headed into Spookathon. I actually wound up reading 4 audiobooks for Spookathon, which was great because that put my total number for the week at 7 because I read 3 physical books and listened to 4 audiobooks, so I was pretty happy with that. So the first thing that I listened to was Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl, narrated by Phoebe Stroll. This was interesting because I almost didn't listen to it because I was pretty sure I listened to something that was narrated by Phoebe Stroll that I didn't like, and I couldn't remember what it was, but I was just like, I really want to read this book because I read Night Film by Marisha Pessl last month and freaking loved it so much. So I went ahead, gave this one a chance, and I don't know what the deal was, but I loved Phoebe Stroll in this. I did so much, and I loved her. I liked her narration. I thought she did a great job. It was super great. So maybe I had listened to something that was like one of her earlier audiobooks. I don't know, but it was so good. I love Marisha Pessl's writing style so much. It was so much fun. I don't know how to explain this one to you guys. I'm sure you've seen a lot about it on BookTube already if you're like on here frequently, but it's about a group of friends basically that go to this house. They're at this mysterious manor called Wincroft, which is where they all used to meet up, but they stopped meeting up because one of their friends died, and there's all this mystery revolving around it. And so our main character, who was his girlfriend, kind of stopped hanging out with them, and one night she decides to meet up with them again, and they meet up and things are kind of awkward and weird and no one wants to talk about Jim's death. And this mysterious man comes to the door and tells them that they have to make an impossible decision to get out of being stuck in this moment in time. So you kind of have a Groundhog Day situation where they're like repeating the same days over and over again, but it's a lot less repetitive than a lot of Groundhog Day type books that I have read. Like Before I Fall was very repetitive. I really loved it, but it was a lot more repetitive than this book because they're able to kind of tweak and change things and you're following different characters, but you're kind of learning about all the characters while you're going through everything. I loved it. I literally couldn't get enough of it. I think I read it in 2 days. It was like an 8-hour audiobook. It was so amazing. I gave it 5 stars. The ending was fabulous. I was worried because Night Film's ending kind of left it open to imagination in a way I didn't love, but this one was just so good. It was just so good. I loved it so much. She's now probably one of my favorite authors. I can't wait to read her other books, like Something with Calamity Physics. I hope she writes something new next year. I will pretty much read anything she writes at this point because her writing is like flawless to me. So 5 stars, new favorite read. Then I read Nightbird by Alice Hoffman. So this one I was debating on unhauling because I have a big unhaul video coming out soon, so stay tuned. Just because it's an ex-library book, it's kind of got like some things messed up about it, and it's just a small children's book. I don't know if this is middle grade or children's. I wanted to read something from Alice Hoffman, who wrote like Practical Magic and things like that. So this is about a girl who lives in a town with her mom. Her mom is a really cool baker, and so I really like that part because they kind of go out and pick different like types of ingredients for the baking. Like if you guys know any books that have that element where they're like picking magical ingredients, like different types of herbs and things to make remedies, oh, I love it so much. So I actually, now that I'm talking about this, I think I enjoyed it more than I realized. And it's about how a witch placed a curse on this town of Sidwell. And this summer that they live there, everything starts to change. So overall, I really enjoyed this. It was cute. If you like kids / middle grade books, you really like it. If you don't like those books, this is probably not the one for you because it definitely has more of a kiddish vibe to it. But I wound up giving this one 3.5 stars. Then I listened to Hitched by G.K. DeRosa, narrated by Sarah Puckett. This was a last minute edition that I'm really glad I added on. It was like a 7-hour audiobook. And I found it on Hoopla. I don't know how to explain it, but it's one of those books where they kind of all come out in a row. It's like a series binger. I don't know. So like all 3 of the books came out this year, like 1 month after the other. It's about a girl who becomes a bachelorette for this reality TV show, and they send her to this like mysterious remote island, and she has 25 bachelors and all these fun things are happening, but then all of the bachelors are some kind of supernatural. They have like vampires and dragon riders and like all kinds of different things, but she doesn't know that, and so they're keeping it under wraps in the show, and she's trying to kind of figure out like why things are so weird. Oh, I just thought that sounded great, and I really like watching The Bachelor like when I'm sick and stuff. I thought it was fun. It was really fun and adventurous and like romantic and cheesy and ridiculous. So if you go into it with the right mindset, you will love this. I gave this 4 stars just for entertainment value because it was so fun, and I can't wait to read the next book just because I just thought it was such a great idea. Like it was cheesy and the writing wasn't the best, but I really liked it. I thought it was a good read, and it kind of broke up those dark reads that I was listening to as well. Then I listened to Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. I decided to cram this one into the end of Spookathon because I wanted to, and I'm really glad that I did. So this one is narrated by Lauren Ezzo, and it's about, again, an island situation, but we're like in modern times. There's like a new girl that moves there, and then there are 2 girls that have always been there, and there's like this mysterious lore that a monster comes and takes the girls from this island, and they don't know what happens to her. It's supposed to be like a myth and a legend, but then girls actually do wind up dying and disappearing, and these girls kind of try to uncover what's happening, or things kind of happen around them. So I don't really want to say too much, but it's on the island of Sawkill, and there's lots of mystery and magic and dark stuff, and this is just delicious. It was so good. I loved it so much. I was really worried it was going to be too scary for me, and there were definitely parts that were real dark and real creepy, but not too dark and not too creepy, and the narrator did a really great job like differentiating all of the different characters, especially since most of them are female. And it's about like friendship and romance, and there's a lot of representation here of a lot of different things, and I just thought it was really well written. I read Claire Legrand's Nutcracker retelling last Christmas, and I really liked her writing style, but that book was so weird. It was so weird. It's like one of the weirdest books I've ever written. I can't remember what it was called, but it's in my December wrap up. Anyway, I was kind of nervous going into this because of that, but I really liked it. So I definitely will be giving Claire Legrand's other books a chance because I thought this was great, and I wound up giving it 4.5 stars. Okay, so that was all I read for Spookathon. I did wind up DNFing Sadie by Courtney Summers. I'm still on the fence on whether or not I'm going to pick it back up. Jeff and I started it together. You'll see it in that vlog coming out soon. And I just... well, 1, we didn't have enough time to finish it because we listened together and it just takes longer. And 2, it was just so incredibly dark. I just couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take how dark it was, but you'll see more of that in that vlog. But then after Spookathon, Jeff and I finally finished Nightfall by Jake Halpern. Can't remember the narrator's name, but it'll be right here like normal. And we have been listening to this over the past like 2 months. We actually finished this before Spookathon, but I was really excited to read this because, again, set on an island. I'm loving these like creepy island reads. And it's about this island that has like 13 years of daylight and 13 years of darkness. I think it's 13, something like that. Thought that was really cool. And so at the end of the 13 years, the people on the island have to leave because there are all these rules set in place, and also they can't live in 13 years of darkness. And so they go to this other section and then they come back. So they're all preparing to leave because the 13 years are coming up. And then there are 3 kids that you're following, a sister and a brother and their friend, and they wind up getting left behind. And so you're kind of following that and discovering what happens on the island at night. And it was good. It wasn't as good as I wanted. It was like the weirdest thing. It started out really good, super interesting. I absolutely loved this narrator. He was fabulous. In the middle was just slow and it dragged on and there wasn't really much happening or getting uncovered. And we were like, should we not finish this? It's kind of boring. And then something happens kind of towards the end of the middle that you're like, wait, whoa, nice twist. And so I kind of sped things up, but then it kind of slowed down again. But then at the end, it kind of picked back up, but then dropped back off. I don't know. I didn't really love the ending. Jeff didn't really love the ending. I wound up giving this one 3 stars overall. Like, I still think it's worth a read. And I actually found the next book in the series at Dollar Tree, which I think is set in a different place and maybe not with the same characters, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It kind of read more like a middle grade and it was a little bit slow. Take that with a grain of salt, but yeah, about 3.5 stars. Then I read Sisters Red by Jackson Pierce, narrated by Erin Moon. So this is part of a series of fairy tale retellings that Jackson Pierce has wrote. This is book 1. I've wanted to read it for a while. I was super excited to find it this year. So it's kind of a twist on Little Red Riding Hood. I thought it was maybe Snow White and Rose Red, but it's not. It's Little Red Riding Hood. And there are 2 sisters and their grandmother winds up getting killed by a wolf/werewolf, and they wind up kind of having to raise themselves when they're like a little bit older, and they become wolf hunters. Loved it. It was a really cool twist on the story. So they're like hunting werewolves. I can't remember, they had like a really cool name for them, which I really liked, and I thought it was really fun. And they're like hunting them, and one sister is just really good at it and was in like her obsession, and the other sister just kind of does it because her other sister does it, and they feel like if they don't do it, they're harming society because they have the ability and they know that they exist. Not everyone knows what's happening. Like all these girls and things wind up getting killed and nobody really knows why. And so if they don't do anything to help, then they feel like they're wasting their lives and whatnot. And there's romance in here and sisterly bonding, and I just thought it was great. I thought it was really well done. The narrator wasn't my favorite. Like, there's kind of like a southern vibe to this, which isn't my favorite to listen to. I don't know why. I just don't really love like listening to like fully southern books, but I still thought it was good and I still really liked it, and I listened to it pretty fast. So this is a pretty good one. I think this cover is so cool with the 2 sisters, and I didn't even notice this wolf down here for like the longest time. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I wound up giving this one, I think, 4 stars, and I can't wait to finish or to continue on with the series. I'm pretty sure they're all individual stories, but they're just all in this fairy tale retelling series. It'd be cool if they tied together. So I'll let you guys know. And then the last book that I listened to, I actually read halfway before I switched to audio. I didn't mention this in my reading wrap up, and I should have. I read half of this book and then I decided to switch to audio because it just wasn't pulling me in enough that I wanted to keep reading it. And so I was reading it really, really slowly. And I wasn't disliking it enough to DNF it. Basically, I was like, if I'm gonna keep reading this book, it's gonna take me like 2 weeks because I'm only reading like 20 pages at a time. And all the other books I read this month, physically, I read really fast, even some of the ones that I didn't really love. So I don't know what it was. It might have just been that it was the end of the month and I was kind of like over it. I also was about to get sick when I was like almost finished with this, so I kind of probably felt it coming on. So I switched to audio. I especially liked that because Adrienne Mather actually narrates it, which was cool. So this is about a girl who moves to the town of Salem, and she is the ancestor of one of the past witches that kind of caused problems for the other witches in the town of Salem. And I guess Adrienne Mather actually is a relative of one of the historical things that happened in Salem. And so she tied a little bit of her own history in here, which is cool because the lead character's name is Samantha Mather. And everyone at school hates her because of her ancestor and what he did. And she's kind of having to deal with that. And then there are these magical, mysterious things that start happening. I had read a review. One reason I didn't want to read this was I had read a review that this actually didn't have witchy stuff in it. And it definitely does. So I don't know who I watched that said that, but they were like, I didn't really think this had anything to do with witches. And I was like, it's set in Salem and there's like literally witch stuff happening all the time. Again, we have kind of a witchy lady in here that uses like certain herbs and things in her recipes. I loved it. So I did enjoy this. There's like ghosty elements in here too and historical elements. I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. It's a good read for fall. It wasn't like my favorite and I feel like it might be very forgettable. I'm debating on unhauling it just because I didn't love it. But the next book in the series is set on the Titanic, which I am super confused about because it's set with our main character, but this is set in like current times. So I don't know if she like goes back in time or what's happening, but I love those types of books. And so I want to read it and see what's happening, and that will kind of determine whether I'm keeping this or not. So I don't know what's going on there, but we're going to find out. So overall, I gave this one 3 stars, I think. So let me know if you guys have read it. Okay, so those are all the books that I listened to for the month of October. There were quite a few. I'm sorry if this video is super long. Let me know if you guys listen to any good spooky reads for October and what you're listening to currently, because I love a good audiobook so much. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys next time on The Bright Side. Bye. Then I listened to A Study in Charlotte. Oh no. Then I listened to A Study in I can't wait to read the